Hi boys and girls, I'm back for chapter 2, and with me back is Charlotte, who has managed to turn around to face all of you. If I could get her to say hi, whoop, she's going to start to go around. Thought maybe she would wave and get a little hi business, but I think she's going to get herself situated. Whoop, I think she's going to go down the couch. Come on, Charlotte, come up here. The kids don't want you to do that. They want you to stay. So maybe we better just start reading. She's in position now. Chapter 2 is Pete and Farley. That night, we went to Tico Taco for supper. I wasn't very hungry. The idea of spending 3 weeks next door to Sheila Tubman was enough to take away my appetite. I wish the Tubmans would move to another planet, but until that happens, there's no way to avoid Sheila. She lives in our apartment building, and we go to the same school. I kind of groaned, and Dad looked at me. "What is it, Peter?" "Sheila Tubman," I said. "Well, what about her?" Dad said. "We're getting married," Fudge said, his mouth full of chicken and taco shell. "I'm not talking about your wedding," I said. "I'm talking about spending 3 weeks in Maine, next door to the Tubmans." "It won't be as bad as you think," Mom said. "You don't know how bad I think it will be. Sheila's older now. She's finished 6th grade, same as you." "What's that got to do with it?" I said. "She's still the queen of cooties." "What's cooties?" Fudge asked. When I didn't answer, he tugged on my sleeve. "What's cooties, Pete?" "Since when am I Pete?" I said, shaking him off. "Since today," he said. "Well, I prefer Peter if you don't mind. Pete is a better big name for our brother. And Farley is a better name for our little brother." I figured that would shut him up since his real name is Farley Drexel Hatcher and he's ready to kill anybody who calls him that, remember? "Don't call me Farley," he said, and then he really let go and yelled, "I'm Fudge!" I said it too loud. Charlotte started to curl up. The waiter who had heard him from across the room came over to our table and said, "Sorry, we don't have any tonight, but we do have mud pie, which is almost the same thing." Dad had to explain that we weren't talking about dessert, and Mom added we never eat dessert until we finished our main course. Sometimes we do in our house. Sometimes we have dessert first. Do you? "Oh," the waiter said. But before he had a chance to get away, Fudge looked up at him and said, "Do you have cooties?" "Cooties?" the waiter asked. "For dessert?" He looked confused, especially when Tootsie banged her spoon against the tray of her baby seat and began to say, "Cootie, cootie." I could tell that Fudge was about to ask the same question again, but before he had a chance, I clamped my hand over his mouth. Then Dad told the waiter we didn't need anything else right now. The waiter walked away shaking his head, and I took my hand away from Fudge's mouth. As soon as I did, he was back in business. You know Fudge. "What's cooties?" This time, the people at the next table looked over at us. "They're like nits," Mom told him, quietly. "What's nits?" Fudge asked. "Head lice," Dad said, almost in a whisper. "Head mice?" Fudge asked. "No, not mice, turkey brain," I told him. "Lice. Little creepy crawly bugs that live in your hair." And I snapped my fingernails at his head the same way Sheila Tubman used to do to me. Fudge yelled, "I don't want creepy crawly bugs in my hair!" And now everyone in the restaurant looked over at us. "That's enough, Peter," Dad said. "Well, he's the one who wanted to know." "That's enough," Mom said. It came out sending enough, which got Tootsie going. "Eee!" Tootsie shrieked, banging her spoon. This is the way it's going to be all summer, I thought. Only worse. So I put down my taco and said, "Maybe I should go to camp this August." Dad got this really serious look on his face. "We don't have money for that this year, Peter. We wouldn't be going away at all if it weren't for Grandma, who's paying more than her fair share. But if you want, you can bring a friend," Mom said. "A friend?" I asked. "You mean like Jimmy Fargo?" And they both nodded. "Jimmy is my best friend in New York. We've always wanted to spend the summer together." "What about me?" Fudge asked. "Can I bring a friend too?" I held my breath. "You'll find a friend in Maine," Mom told him. "Suppose I don't," Fudge said. "You're getting married," I reminded him. "Does that mean I don't get a friend?" Fudge asked. "Of course not," Mom told him. "I'm married and I have friends, and Daddy's married and he has friends." "What about Uncle Feather?" I said. "Uncle Feather is Fudge's minor bird." "He's your friend, isn't he?" "I can't play with Uncle Feather," Fudge said. "He's not that kind of a friend, and I can't marry him either." If he was a girl bird, it would be different. People don't marry birds, I told him. Some people do. Name one. The guy who's married to Big Bird on Sesame Street. Big Bird's not married, I said. That's how much you know, Fudge shouted. He's learned to say that every time someone disagrees with him. It's a real conversation stopper. Right, Charlotte? I give up, I said, going back to my taco, which was getting soggy. Soggy tacos are the worst. Up, Tootsie repeated, folding out her arms. Up, up, up. Dad lifted her out of her baby seat, and she squirmed until he put her down. Then she took off. Toddling through the restaurant, stopping at every table, Fudge scrambled off his chair and ran after her. Eating out with my family is not exactly relaxing. Here, girl, Fudge said, as if he were calling a dog. Here's something for you, and he lured her back to our table and dropped some of his taco on her tray. Yum, he said to her. Yum, yum, yum. Dad put Tootsie back into her seat. She stuffed the chicken pieces into her mouth. I always know what Tootsie wants, Fudge said. That's why I'm her favorite brother. Tootsie doesn't have favorites, Mom told him. She loves both of her brothers. But she loves me the best, Fudge said. Then he looked at me and laughed, and when he did, half of the food in his mouth wound up on my shirt. I called Jimmy Fargo as soon as I got home. I asked him to go to Maine with us. 3 weeks next door to Sheila Tubman. The houses are really far apart, I said. Nobody told me this, but I was hoping it was true. You won't even be able to see the houses. There'll probably be a forest even separating us. When he didn't say anything, I added, and don't forget, Sheila's scared of dogs, so we can get Turtle after her anytime she gives us any trouble. Turtle's my dog. He's big enough to look scary, but he'd never hurt anybody. Lucky for us, Sheila doesn't know that. Jimmy laughed. Maybe I can come for a week. A week isn't long enough. Hey, Peter, no offense, but a week with your family can feel like a long time. We get it, don't we? That's because Jimmy's the only kid in his family. His parents are divorced, and he lives with his father, Frank Fargo, who's a painter. How about 2 weeks, I said. Is your brother bringing his bird? Yeah, Uncle Feather's part of the family, I told him. Same as Turtle. So, it'll be your mother, your father, Fudge, Tootsie, Turtle, Uncle Feather, and you? Right, I said, and my grandmother's coming too. The one who taught you how to stand on your head? Yeah, Grandma Muriel is Mom's mother. She ran a gymnastics camp before she retired. You think she could teach me? Jimmy said. Maybe, I said. I'll talk to my father, Jimmy said. I'll let you know tomorrow. He called back in the morning. Mr. Fargo liked the idea of Maine so much that he said he'd drive Jimmy up and camp out in the area himself. That's great, I said. Maybe 3 weeks in Maine wouldn't be as bad as I thought. Now, we know them. We can only imagine how bad it is going to be. But that's the end of chapter 2. I'll see you soon for chapter 3. A little rhyme.